It began when John Green posted this video of this photograph of a Mayan lintel, in which he posed the question, can a virtual experience of a thing compare to or even replace the actual experience of seeing the thing itself? The Kidlets and I found this to be a very compelling question, and we debated it as much as Kidlets can, until we saw that the thing that we were watching a video of a photograph of was actually rather close by, at the ROM in Toronto. And so an experiment within an adventure, or maybe an adventure within an experiment, or maybe just a new question. If we make a video of a thing that we have seen a video of a photograph of, will watching our video of the thing feel more or less real than watching the video of the photograph of the thing? And how will both those experiences compare to the experience of seeing the thing itself? So I left this comment. That's the other me, the one who makes videos of herself reading books, thus providing you with the virtual experience of being read to. And, ROM membership card in hand, the Kidlets and I set out on a treasure hunt. Our journey took us first to Union Station, where a lady took a photograph of me taking a video of a zombie, and where we walked underground to take the subway to the Royal Ontario Museum. Despite the totem poles and the name Museum Station, if you want to go to the Royal Ontario Museum, the best station to go to is actually St. George. Toronto can be confusing. Anyway, I grabbed some free news. I love free news. And saw a giant marshmallow and walked past a wonderful building that reminds me of Clifton in Cincinnati, and worried that Kidlet number 2 might fall, but of course he didn't. And then we were there at the ROM, where we saw jars of dead things and metal cloth and the outside of a building inside and a really fancy but uncomfortable chair, but no Mayan lintel. But we did see lots of other cool things, like this cylinder covered in cuneiform and a bowl full of words and an archway that nobody could walk through, and another part of the outside of a building inside that we did walk through. And an Egyptian tomb that we walked into, but not quite through, but still no Mayan lintel. So we kept looking, and we saw a sarcophagus and some headless ladies. They were really popular once upon a time, and some really fancy trim. I love fancy trim. And then we met a security guard who we showed the video to, and he knew exactly where the Mayan lintel was, which was gone. It had left last April to continue on its Canadian tour to Quebec, which is where it stayed until last November, and now it is floating out there, somewhere, out of sight, but definitely not out of mind. We got a phone number to call just to make sure, but there was no answer, so we left a message. Our treasure hunt over, we poked around a little more, and we found some really fancy but probably hard to clean floor tiles, and over-the-top Roman shawl pins, and this lintel of 2 guys with wings looking at a sacred tree. But it wasn't our lintel, so we moved on. We finished up looking at this relief of the Persian Zoroastrian god Mithras, who is the god of light, truth, and the promised word. And it made me think of the promises I had made that day, to go to a place and find a thing and film it, and how I hadn't been able to fulfill that promise, but somehow I didn't feel bad or sad or even too disappointed, because I had tried. And I wondered if we should never promise a thing that we can't be certain to fulfill, or if sometimes trying our best to fulfill a promise is enough. Either way, if I hadn't made a promise, I wouldn't have been here, thinking about Mithras and the nature of promises. So even unfulfilled promises must be good for something. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.